بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وينزل عليكم من السماء ماء ليطهركم به ويذهب عنكم رجز الشيطان وليربط على قلوبكم ويثبت به الأقدام.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وآل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين عليهم السلام. Dear brothers and sisters, we have been explaining the rules of purifying agents. In the previous session, I mentioned that there are 12 purifying agents, or 12 things with which purification is achieved. They are water, the earth, and sun. And number 4 is chemical change or transformation, which is in Arabic terminology or in legal terminology is called istihala. The 5th is inqilab, which means change in properties, and the 6th is intiqal, or change in place. The 6th is istibra, and the 8th is istibra, and the 9th is Islam. The 10th is taba'iyya, or to follow, and the 11th is ghaybatul Muslim, or disappearance of a Muslim, and the 12th is draining of the usual quantity of blood from the slaughtered body of an animal. Of course, these 12 objects, which are considered to be the purifying objects, have different applications and different meanings. And the first one, as I mentioned in detail and I elaborated, of course, is water. I mentioned and I said that there are 2 kinds of water, mixed water and unmixed water. And then the mixed water, however large its quantity may be, cannot purify anything, any object. And if a drop of impure liquid falls into it, the whole water or the whole mixed water becomes impure. So mixed liquid, which refers to the water which is taken, or the liquid which is taken from fruit, from different kinds of fruits, or maybe it's taken from something which is, of course, mixed with something else, then that mixed water cannot purify anything. And the moment something falls, something impure falls into it, the whole liquid becomes impure. As far as the pure water is concerned, or what is known as mutlaq water or unmixed water, of course we have different kinds of water. They are rainwater, flowing water or running water, and then cool water, and then less water. As far as cool, running, and rainwater are concerned, of course, they are called abundant water or kasir water. The abundant water does not get impure by coming into contact with an impure object or with an essentially impure thing, provided that its taste, smell, and color do not change. If, of course, let's assume that kur water, though it is abundant water, it is considered to be plentiful water. But if a drop or some drops of blood or urine or things like that fall into it, insofar as the taste and the smell or the color have not changed, then the kur water remains to be pure. It can be used for purification, it can be used for performing ablution, it can be used for making wudu, and so on and so forth. But if its color, its smell and taste change, then of course it's no longer considered to be pure and it cannot be used for any purification purpose. And we should remember that less water, there is a difference between less water and kur water or abundant water. Less water should be considered as something that is subject to change. For example, if a drop of urine or blood or semen or things like that, or a najis object, which is not essentially najis, it could have been made accidentally impure. If something like that falls into it, into less water, which is known as qalil water, then that water becomes impure. And no matter, or it does not make any difference whether an essentially impure object falls into less water or something accidentally has been made impure and it falls into it, then that less water is rendered, it's made impure. Just imagine a jug full of water, a drop of urine falls into it, then that jug full of water becomes impure and it cannot be used for drinking, for making ablution and for performing wudu. So, and the position is the same with when it, let's say, when we want to use less water for purification. There is a difference between abundant water and less water. When you want to, for example, if a utensil, if a household gadget has been made impure, has been made najis or unclean, if you want to wash it, if you want to purify it with abundant water, then you need to use abundant water only once. You can wash it only once and that will be made pure. But if you want to wash it using less water, then you have to wash it twice. So this is the difference. Using less water, if you are using less water, you have to wash something, an impure object twice. But if you are using running water, if you are using rainwater, or if you are using well water, or let's say abundant water in a general sense, then you can wash it only once. It is not necessary to wash it twice. I also said and mentioned that dogs and pigs are essentially impure, and if it licks, if a dog or a pig licks a cauldron or a cooking pot or a jug or something like that, then of course it has to be washed 7 times, especially if if a pig falls into if a pig licks or a drop of its saliva falls into a container, the container has to be washed 7 times. Also, if a mouse falls into a container, the container has to be washed 7 times. As far as the dog is concerned, then if a dog licks or its saliva falls into it, or it drinks water from a container, according to the grand jurists and mujtahideen, first of all, the container has to be washed with dust. You have to pour some dust into the container, you have to shake it, you have to scrub it a little so that the dust reaches all parts. and then you have to wash off the dust, and then thereafter you need to wash the container thrice. And it does not make any difference whether you wash it with little water, with less water, or with abundant water. And now there are a lot of examples we can give, and a lot of instances of purification and impurities also. Many people ask questions about washing machines. Naturally, a washing machine is not licked normally, generally by a pig or by a dog, but we put different clothes into it. Sometimes the clothes, the underwear we put into it is impure, it's najis, and we put them all together in a single washing machine and wash it. Does the washing machine purify the entire clothes, the entire garments in it, or no? We need to wash the garments once again. Of course, I have read the Risala, the Epistles of Islamic Laws written by grand jurists. They have said that if the washing machine is an automatic washing machine, it is connected to the mains or to the pipeline, and of course the water is considered to be kur water. It is not considered to be little less water. It is not considered to be running water. The water which is connected to the washing machine is kur water. So kur water purifies the whole clothes inside the washing machine. And of course, when you take out the garments, the clothes and the dress, it's not necessary for you to wash the clothes. It's not necessary to wash the garment. And the whole clothes inside the washing machine that are taken out should be considered as pure, as ritually pure, that can be used for prayer and for any other religious acts and deeds that require purity and cleanness. Of course, if you are using an old washing machine that is not connected to the mains, and you pour water with a jar, with a bucket or with something into it, you fill the container and then you throw the clothes into it. If the clothes are impure, then it will not make the clothes pure, because it's not connected to the mains, it's not connected to the pipeline, and the pipeline is not connected, of course, to kur water. So in this case, the clothes inside the washing machine will not be made pure, and you need to wash the clothes once again. If you rinse the clothes once with little water or running water or well water, it will be made pure. I also mentioned last time, or maybe in the previous sessions, that if a child urinates on a carpet, and the carpet is not removable, it is on the floor, and it is sometimes even difficult to remove the carpet. So many scholars have said that if you pour a cup or 2 cups of water on the najis impure area, and then you use a towel to dry up the liquid, then the carpet is considered pure, and of course you can offer your prayers on that carpet, and you do not have to worry. Now, in some cases, let's say the floor is a hard floor. It is made of tiles or slates, stone slates or tiles, and if it is made impure, then how are you going to how are you going to purify it? Yes, the answer is this, that you can pour a little water on it and let the water flow. Let the water flow. And if it's drained out, then that's the purification is achieved. But if there is no way, the water does not go out, then if it flows, you just need to collect the water using a towel again. And of course, by doing so, the floor will be purified, and you can consider it is pure. You need to understand or just gather that we as followers, as muqallideen, need to act according to the verdicts, according to the edicts, according to the fatwa of our ulama and scholars and our prominent scholars, the most learned scholars. And we do not need to ask questions as to why is this so and why is that so. And of course, the rationale, the philosophy, the purpose, and the concept beyond the Islamic laws are not necessary to be understood, though it is good to understand the reason, the philosophy, and the rationale, but at times it is very much like impossible to understand the philosophy and the reasons behind the Islamic laws. Now, brothers and sisters, the next is earth, which comes from from nature, and earth does not have a very wide and extensive purifying scope. Its purifying scope is very limited. It does not purify everything and anything that has been made impure. It purifies only the sole of your shoes. The sole, if the soles of your shoes or of your feet have been made impure, and if the soles of your shoes have come in contact with an impure object, then the earth has the capacity and the scope to purify the soles of your shoe and the soles of your feet. It does not purify anything else. It does not clean anything else. So the ulama and scholars have said that you need to walk a few steps so that the impure object which is stuck to the soles of your shoes or the sole of your shoe is removed. And of course, you must make sure that the whole substance has been removed, and then there is no impure object on the sole of your shoe or on the sole of your foot. And of course, if the impure substance has not been removed, you need to walk a little further. For example, this mujtahideen, the grand scholars and religious authorities, have said that you need to walk for 15 zira or 15 arms length. That is zira, of course, zira, 15 arms length. You need to walk some 15 arms length in order for the sole of your shoe to be purified. And of course, if it is not purified, you can still see the impure substances on the sole of your foot or on the sole of your shoe, then you have to walk a little more. The earth does not purify anything else. It does not have the capacity to purify any other impure objects. For example, if your hand or if your clothes or if your bag or something like that has been made impure, you cannot rub it against the ground or against the dust to purify it. And of course, anything like that will not be made impure. Now, the next and the third purifying object is the sun. What are the conditions set out for the sun to make things pure? What are the necessary conditions? When does the sun purify something, and when does it not purify things? Of course, like earth, the sun has also a limited purifying scope. It cannot purify everything and anything. The sun can purify only an impure building or an impure wall, It does not purify the door, it does not purify the window pane, and anything else other than the wall and house, the wall of the house.
ناجيتك يا رحمن ودعوتك يا ديان يا خالق الإنسان الله 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 يا خالق الإنسان الله الله الله.
There are some conditions that you need to take into consideration. The najis thing or the place must become dry by the direct rays of the sun. The sun rays should reach the impure object directly. And of course, it is assumed that the najis object is wet. If it is dry, if it is already dry, then of course that dry thing cannot be made pure. We assume that the wall is wet and it has been made impure. Now the sun should shine on it directly, and the sun rays should reach it directly. And if it reaches indirectly, let's say through a window pane or maybe through a mirror, and it dries, no. In this case, the wall or the building does not become pure. And of course, it should also be understood that if something else helps the wet and impure wall to become dry, and there's also sun ray, then again that wall is not made pure. For example, let's say that there is a fire burning, it's close to the impure wall, and also there is the sun shining. Now two things are there, and the fire and the sun. These two things help the wall become dry. In this case, the wall does not and will not become pure. So the most important condition is that the sun itself, without the help of anything else, should make the wall pure and should make it dry. Now if wind blows against the wet wall and the wall becomes dry, again the wall will not become pure. The next impure object, of course, is istihala. Istihala is a very clear and tangible issue. The example which I will give are also clear. Now what does istihala mean, and what are the examples? Istihala means chemical transformation or chemical change. If something changes into something else in such a way that the original object becomes a totally different thing, a different object, then that is istihala, that is chemical change, or it is a metamorphic change. For example, the well-known example that also the scholars have given is this, that if a dog falls into a salt mine, and the dog gradually changes into soil. It turns into soil in such a way that the dog entirely becomes salt, no longer considered to be salt, and no longer considered to be a dog. Then that is considered to be istihala. It is considered to be complete transformation, complete chemical transformation. In this case, the salt is clean, it can be used, it can be consumed. Another example, if an impure wood, a piece of wood burns and changes into ash. It turns into ash. The ash is pure, and it can be used for anything that, where purity is required. So you can generalize the example. Anything which has been made impure or which is essentially impure, like a dog or a pig, if the essence of that thing changes, and if that thing becomes something else, completely something else, a kind of, that is considered to be chemical transformation. Now I give you an example of something else where there is a change, but then purity is not achieved. For example, if you grind impure wheat, or if you use impure flour to make bread. Now flour is one thing, bread is one thing, wheat is one thing, and flour is another thing. The wheat is ground and it's changed into flour. In this case, there is no chemical transformation, no chemical change. And of course, the grand religious authorities have said that in such a case, the purification is not achieved. The wheat which has turned into flour cannot be used. The flour cannot be used to make bread. Now, there is one more question. Sometimes we use food products. We use food products that contain gelatin. And gelatin is an ingredient that is normally found in food products. Now, this is one of the important questions, one of the frequently asked questions. What is the answer to this question? The religious authorities have said that if we do not know the source of the gelatin, we can use the food product that contains gelatin. And it's not necessary for us to investigate, because gelatin is derived from vegetable. It comes from nature. It comes from vegetables or things like that. It also comes from animal sources. And of course, if we do not know whether it has come from animal sources or from vegetable, then of course we can use the food product that contains gelatin. And if we know that it comes from animal sources, then we must make sure that the gelatin comes from a halal animal. Otherwise, we cannot use the food, we cannot eat the food. But some scholars have said that if the gelatin goes through chemical transformation, then the chemical transformation is a purifying agent. It is a purifier, and it purifies the gelatin, and we can use it. But if it has not gone through chemical transformation, then of course we cannot use the food that contains gelatin. And gelatin, if we know, for example, for sure that no chemical change has occurred, and that the gelatin comes from pork, normally it does come from pork, then in this case we must not use and we must not consume the food. Inshallah, in the next session to come, I will explain the rules concerning other purifying agents. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
اللهم اختم بعفوك أجلي وحقق في رجاء رحمتك أملي وسهل إلى بلوغ رضاك سبلي وحسن في جميع أحوالي عملي.